Hello and welcome, friends. I am glad you're here. On your way in, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like, subscribe, and if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and share this with a group that you think might enjoy this content. We're just continuing on with our Scarlet Minotaur walkthrough, solo playthrough. A couple of record-keeping things. I have transcribed the character sheets to paper so that I can keep track of their resources a little bit better. I mentioned last time that I was a little bit wary of actually writing on these cards. I wouldn't mind if my players wrote on these cards, to be honest, but because it's just little old me, I have a hard time with it. So instead of keeping track or attempting very poorly to keep track on little bits of sticky note, I went ahead and I wrote these out on a couple of pages. Now, a couple of record keeping things here. I reevaluated their experience points with some of the old treasure they had found. We had a old gem from room 10 that I need to keep track of. Intact gem, and that's worth 120 gold. And then a couple other things. I basically counted up experience points for that and also included the experience points from searching this room. I went ahead and did some random rolls. Basically, what ended up happening is my heroes, and maybe I'll just walk through it because basically I forgot to hit the record button essentially. So basically what my heroes did is they started searching, and we'll go ahead and move over to the adventure. We started searching and we found a scarred mithril shield. Elvin went ahead and put that in his pack. And then we asked if they would continue searching, rolling with advantage. I came up with a yes, but so they're a little bit wary. They went ahead and continued searching while the rest, like some of the party, checked the doors. And they found a bag of 60 gold pieces. They were still a little wary from everything. They found that this door was stuck here, and then these two doors are open just fine. I rolled for a random encounter. There was no random encounter because I roll very well, apparently, for those in particular. They continued searching and found a scroll of burning hands and a bronze tube adorned with jade dragons worth 80 gold. They went ahead and put those in the inventory. And after that, I rolled at disadvantage to see if they would continue searching because they had been searching a while, and I got a no. And in fact, I rolled a 1, so a very no. So they basically collected their gear, and now they're trying to figure out what they want to do. Just as a side note, after the last battle, Elbin can no longer cast Cure Wounds because he failed his roll. He needs to rest before he can cast that again. And Uriel is down to 2 hit points, so she's hurting pretty bad. So we want to make sure that our party is safe and doing their best to keep themselves alive. Everybody at this point has 16 experience points. That. Experience points. And now our friends have all the red parts are parts where they have mapped. So they're fairly certain if they go through this door that this likely connects somewhere. They think so. They're also fairly certain that this connects. But the only sure way that they have to get back room 1 or any exit is basically through the red line. They have to go back through the labyrinth. So they're going to talk about it. Their closest Their closest in and out is if they just climb up to the roof with their rope. That is very doable. So I'm going to ask, will they climb up to the roof, get out of this building, and if not, we'll decide which way they go. There's one. Basically, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways out of here. I don't think that they would likely go through the truck door, but we'll see. Do they climb out with their rope? 16 is a yes. So they fashion their rope. They're going to go ahead and toss a grappling hook up and get that to stick, and then one by one they climb up out of the main chamber and onto the roof of the building. They make their way to the exit, essentially to any side at this point, and they'll use another rope to go ahead and climb down, and I think they'll leave these ropes here actually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove a rope and grappling hook, and we're going to get rid of another rope and grappling hook here. And I think our heroes will go back to town to rest. And that will bring all their hit points back up, so Uriel is no longer in very dangerous space. And that gives Elbin the ability to cast Cure Wounds again. So after they've rested, they consider it. They say that this dungeon's pretty dangerous. All we need to do is find that last artifact. And that's it. So what we're going to do is Uriel suggests well, and actually it's probably our wizard that will suggest. Zaldini the Red will suggest that they go in, they trade the gem, like it's a very valuable gem, but they'll trade the gem to Eska and see if she knows where the final artifact is. Final thing. So our heroes come back, they go in, and they'll see if they can find Eska. Is Eska in chamber 1? Or no, he is not in chamber 1. Okay, so things are taking a little bit of a turn here. So they know the Ettercaps live in this area. So our party, of course, they light their torch, and they'll have all new torches. They'll spend a little bit of gold. They'll light, and they walk in and search for Eska. That's going to turn us over to a 2, and we'll roll to see if there's a random encounter. There is a random encounter. All right, let's see what this random encounter is. So we roll a d8, find out. We get a 3. A dry gust of wind extinguishes all torches and lamps. Okay, so they walk in. They're looking for Eska, and immediately a wind blows out their torch. Somewhat annoyed, they'll go ahead and relight it. I think it's a difficulty 12. Light a torch. So we got a 17. We definitely get our torch lit. And muttering to themselves, they'll go ahead. Will they? They have a couple options. They can hunt for Eska here, or they can just hunt for the artifact on their own. My question is, will they hunt for Eska to ask her the question? I think that's the most likely. So I'm going to roll at advantage with our yes-no oracle. I got a 12, so that is a yes. They're going to hunt for Eska. So they're going to go 1, 2 into room 3. And they're going to call Eska's name as they go. All right, now the question is Eska in area 3? I'm going to roll I think it's just as likely that she's out, patrolling, especially since we took care of the Scarlet Minotaur. I think that the other caps would very quickly realize that the Scarlet Minotaur is no longer hunting the area. So we'll just roll at normal. Yes, no. Is she here? 5. No, she is not here. But one of the other Eder caps knows where she's at, which is great. So one of these Eder caps, we're going to roll a random Eder cap NPC. We need 3d10, basically. So 1 by 1, I guess. So 5. It is Chiska or Liss. We'll call it Chiska. They are gangly and bossy. All right, so our group, they'll go ahead and walk into area 3, calling for Eska's name. Chiska comes out, kind of bossy, puts hands on his hips, and says, "What are you doing here? We already had a deal." And let's go ahead and we want to do kind of a charisma check, I think. So Martin is probably best at this. I'll step forward and try to smooth things over and suggest, hey, like, we're just looking for Eska to ask her a question. If you wouldn't mind sharing some information with us, we just want to know where she's at. And he rolls a natural 20, so that gives us a luck token back. Thank goodness, we need those. And he does very well articulating to Chiska. So Chiska looks at him and says that she's out wandering in a certain area of the dungeon. So we have a couple of broad areas. If we cut out the Beastmen areas, we kind of have 1 location, 2 location, and a 3rd location here. Technically, she could be anywhere. And there is a grand total of how many rooms? 27 total rooms. So why don't we start with that? We can roll a d10 and a d3 to come up with a number between 1 and 30. Now the d3, we're just going to roll a d6. 1 and 2 is equal to 1, etc. Alright, so that's a 1. So whatever our d10 roll is, we don't add anything to it. If we had rolled a 2, we could add a 2, or a 2 to the number, or basically making it 20s, essentially. Or if we had rolled a 3, we could roll how does that work? Hold on a second, I gotta think this through. It made sense in my head. So if we had rolled a 2 on a 3 and a 4 on the d6, would have made it a 2 on a d3, and we would have added 10 to the number. So if we had rolled a 3, it would have made it 13. If we had rolled the 5 or 6, it would have added a 2 to the number, and it would have made it a 23, basically, in the tens column. So in this case, we rolled a 1, so we don't add anything, and we just get a 3. So this actually rolled. Eska is here. So as they're talking to Chiska, Eska walks in the door. I was incredibly lucky. And we'll say that took up a turn to do all that. Eska walks in and wants to know what they're talking, wants to know what's going on. Martin will turn and say, hey, we had some questions about the dungeon that we wanted to talk to you about. Eska, of course, being a little bit greedy, she says, of course, come with me. Let's get away from, the other Eder caps. You make them nervous. Let's go over here, kind of thing. A thinly veiled attempt to keep information secret, and more importantly, for Eska to keep any treasure she gets hidden from the other Eder caps. So she says, follow me. They go back to room 1. That's going to go ahead and turn 4. We'll go ahead and roll a random encounter. No random encounters. So we're back in room 1 after that little jaunt. And we'll pull out our gem. And we say, we're looking for the final artifact. Do you know where it's at? Now that's the big question. Does she know where it's at? She's been exploring a bit. So we're going to roll the yes, no. We'll go ahead and roll at advantage. See if she knows where this artifact is. We got a 10, which is a twist. That's interesting. Grab our Glow Dark rule. And now we kind of know, like the 10 would have us roll a prompt, but over the adventure, where is final thing? All right, so the final, what do you call it? Artifact is in room 21. We already know that. So Eska is kind of giving us a twist here. Let's go ahead and roll and see, because we kind of already know where it's at as the DM, but let's see what the prompts say. Maybe Eska requires something else of us. Here, roll dice and have fun. So let's go ahead and see. We got a 92. Uphold is the word. And then we got a 93. Uphold the goal. So the goal for Eska is treasure. So he changes the rules a little bit of their little agreement. Like our party has let on a bit too much. They say that we only need that last artifact. So Eska will say, I need more treasure then. I know where it's at. It's dangerous. So I will tell you where it's at. But it's going to cost more than that gem. I want the pearl you stole from me. The gem, the pearl, and I want an additional 20 gold. That's a pretty hefty price. Are our heroes okay with that? Question. Let's go ahead and roll this. Will the heroes go ahead and accept that deal? 7 is a no, but they will counter, and they will say, we will give you the gem, and we'll give you the 20 gold. So, will they accept it? Martin is going to go ahead and roll a charisma check. Instead of rolling yes, no, we want their abilities to play into this. So, Martin will go ahead and check. Another natural 20. Thank goodness Martin is here. So they counter and they say, we'll give you the gem, we'll give you 20 gold, but that's where our deal ends. And Eska says that's acceptable. She'll take the stuff. We'll go ahead and cross this out. So there's 3 gold here. And they've gotten rid of this pricey gem. Let's see here. And Eska will tell them that this room is where the final artifact is. Get there, the door is locked. We'll say that a couple, I think. This over to a 6. Roll for a random encounter. We do get a random encounter. I'm starting to get them now that we're entering the end game here. And let's see here. We got a 6. So as they say that, let's see, the random encounter is 2d4 beastmen argue in hushed whispers over who gets to eat the centipedes they just trapped in a bag. as they enter room 1, basically. You have 2d4 Beastmen. And we will end it there, folks, for the time being. We will see you next time. Our heroes now know where the last thing is. 2d4 Beastmen just entered room that they're talking to Eska in. And we'll see what happens next time. Thanks very much for being here, and good luck out there.